What's up, everyone? It's the interview queen Alicia Toot here, and be sure to watch True Heel Heat.
You already know what time it is, man. The young goat in the building. Make sure you tune in to True Heel Heat podcast.
Oye, te habla tío Sabio Vega. This is Sabio Vega, and you watching True Heel Heat a mi manera o pa' la calle.
Yo, what up? You know what it is. It's your boy AJ Francis reporting to you live from New York City, the birthplace of hip-hop. And I'm telling you that I'm only tuned in with True Heel Heat Wrestling. Holla at me.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Schiavone of All Elite Wrestling, and this is True Heel Heat. And I said it right, you motherfuckers.
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for our AEW Dynasty 2024 review. Breaking down the show last night, the pay-per-view, the latest pay-per-view from All Elite Wrestling from St. Louis, Missouri. And our AEW champion is black. We may have seen the greatest professional wrestling match of all time. And I am joined by the person who asked a question to Will Ospreay that made him very uncomfortable right off the bat. He is one of the writers and voices over at WrestlePurists. He is Kaden Lee. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I am exhausted from my trip to St. Louis. I've made it back to Gainesville, Florida. I just got out of a lecture, but I'm here to talk about this wonderful pay-per-view from last night.
How was it to be there live and experience it in person, sir?
It was a really good experience. Every AEW pay-per-view is a fun time. I always can have a blast at those, and a different experience being able to be in media for the first time and getting to go to the scrum. It makes it different, but the crowd was hot. It was a intimate setting that I have thoughts on that venue. Not my favorite. I don't love the smaller venues, but it still was an intimate setting. Everybody was packed in there to watch some great wrestling. It was a really fun time.
Well, sound off in the live chat if you are with us today live. We appreciate y'all for joining us. We appreciate y'all if you are watching on demand as well. Remember to show that appreciation back the simplest way possible. Drop the thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, yeah, like I said before, sound off in the live chat. We'll try to highlight as many of your comments as possible. But of course, if you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here, you can send a super chat donation. That is so important to what we do here on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. It goes back to all the contributors. And since none of the other contributors are here, all the super chats go to me. So if you love me and you want to send me some love, send a super chat. And don't send it on Thursday because Jimmy Macaram didn't even watch this show because he doesn't want to watch a 4-hour pay-per-view. So don't give us any super chats on Thursday. Give us to us right now. Thank you guys. We appreciate the support. But I gotta say, I was apprehensive about my expectations of the card. The card on paper was great. I had my issues with the build-up. I say outside of the last Wednesday show, the last 2 weeks prior to that was some of the worst AEW television that I can remember, between Daddy Ass, Jay White, and everything that was that tape episode with them really reacting to stuff more than actually having a good show. But they followed that up with a good go-home show. But last night, like I said, my expectations were apprehensive and so-so. They blew me away. I think by lowering my expectations with those 2 bad weeks, they made me feel even better after the show.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I had I wasn't liking those weeks of Dynamite going in. I thought the go home show was pretty good, but the 2 weeks before that, the footage episode, and then it was the episode. I think it was the episode right before the footage episode.
It's Daddy Ass and Jay White. That's one of the worst things that's happened on Dynamite this year.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate, is what I call it. It was booking that happened, and it happens with AEW. Not great, but I thought that they went into this pay-per-view and really delivered on almost all accounts. There's a few issues that I have overall with what they did, but considering like how the build was not my favorite for an AEW pay-per-view, I thought that everything performed to where it should have. Like when you look at the card, everything I thought performed about where I thought it would, or even exceeded expectations.
Yeah, there were some matches that definitely exceeded what I wanted, and some matches gave me exactly what I thought they would do.
Yeah.
We got our good friend Will Chisholm in the chat. Thanks for joining us today, Will. He says, I got so sad when SRS, I think he said, SRS said Chris Jericho got 1.5 years on his deal. Oh my God, you were there. You were a part of a crowd last night in St. Louis. I don't know if there has ever been a more public display of fans telling Tony Khan something's not working.
So I technically was not part of this crowd because I did not watch this match. I saw I had been telling everybody in my section, I was like, I'm gonna go charge my phone for a minute during this match because I need a second. I need like every pay-per-view, I need a match I can go to the concourse and either charge my phone, get food, get water, walk around. I just need it to reset. And this was the perfect spot. I think it was like 5th on the card, like smack dab in the middle on a 9-match card. So I was like, okay, perfect. I'm gonna go. As soon as that graphic hit, I went out. I didn't even come back until after Tony and Thunder Rosa had started. So I heard the crowd. I heard the chants, but I did not see. I have not seen this match. I have a thing right now where I'm refusing to watch Chris Jericho matches.
I mean, I don't blame you because this we'll get to the matchup. It wasn't a bad matchup, but man, oh man, did it go unnecessarily long. So
yeah,
gave you
like
plenty
16.
of time to charge your phone. I will say that.
Yeah,
they must have been thinking about you.
16 minutes, right?
It was 17 minutes.
Oh my God.
Yes. Which means it went about 7 minutes too long. We got Frantic World in the chat who says the AEW fans was letting Chris Jericho know he needs to take a huge break from TV. Yeah. But he's not. Like that's the crazy part. Is that like there's some things on AEW television that I'm just saying like, okay, this shit is obvious. Why isn't Tony getting the memo? Like the Acclaim are not as over as they were 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The Chris Jericho is not as good as he was even 2 years ago. And a certain new signee needs to be a fucking heel because she's facing the most organic babyface you've had in the women's division. So those are 3 things off the top of my head that AEW needs to address and address quickly.
I agree.
And it wasn't addressed on this show, just letting everybody know. Even though I will say the latter part, maybe it was by what the commentary was saying. But let's start off with the 0 hour pre-show. Keep sounding off in the live chat. Like I said before, send those super chat donations. Always appreciate the love and support with that. But let's go over to the pre-show, which you had the 0 hour pre-show, which kicked off with Trent Beretta going one-on-one with Matt Sydal, with Mike Sydal in his corner. Matt Sydal, being a native of St. Louis, got a good response from the fans in attendance and got a good reaction throughout this matchup. Trent Beretta just seemed very natural in his heel role here. It feels like he's wanted to work as a heel for a long time. He's done it in certain places as a babyface, but he just felt like he was at home here in this matchup. In the end, he picks up the win with a Gogo Plata, the old Hell's Gate, by The Undertaker. He gets the submission victory. After the matchup, Mike Sydal gets into the ring to check on Matt, and Trent Beretta attacks him from behind, leading to Chuck Taylor, coming out to make the save and run Trent off. But Trent had a few words for his former best friend. He tells Chuck that he's been trying to text him and call him all week. He says, what's been going on? And this leads to Beretta basically giving Taylor an ultimatum that he has till Wednesday to tell him where he stands. Chuck Taylor listened to all of this, and as Beretta made his way up the ramp, Orange Cassidy's music hit to bring him out for our next matchup. But we'll get into that shortly. What did you think about Trent Beretta versus Matt Sydal and the post-match with Trent's ultimatum?
I thought this was a very good 0 hour opener. Exactly what you need. These are two guys who are pretty good workers and can get the crowd going. Like a solid 3-star match that worked very well and established Trent's heel character. That's really what we needed out of this pay-per-view. And like we needed to get this character established in a singles match and to really show like what he's going to do as a heel. Like if he was going to do a different style, how he was going to like his mannerisms, all these different elements that you need to establish when somebody turns. And I thought that Sydal was a very good opponent to use there in that spot just because of the what he adds to a match. And so I thought this went over very well with the crowd. The post-match worked pretty well. I will say I did not know that was his brother for a good 5 minutes. I thought it was Adam Cole when I first looked. I was like, that's not Adam Cole. Like, it looks like, so from my angle, it genuinely, I'm not kidding, it looked exactly like Adam Cole. And I'm like, why is Adam Cole there? And I was like, I was doing other things at the time, so I like didn't really think about it. And I was like, wait, why would Adam Cole be there? And then I asked, and we're like, oh, it's his brother. Post-match, that was cool. I think Chuck's going to turn with him. That's what I would do. I would just have them be heels as best friends. I think there's more in a heel best friends run than a singles Trent run. I just don't see where he slots in.
Yeah, there's definitely a higher ceiling with the best friends as heel than Trent as a heel on his own. I don't see any title picture he could find himself into. Whereas best friends as heels, I could potentially see them even becoming like Ring of Honor tag team champions. Not necessarily AEW World Tag Team Champions. Turning heel is going to fix that, but at least the Ring of Honor tag team straps.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I gave the match 3 stars as well. Like I said before, we had Orange Cassidy come out after this matchup. He comes out on stage. He is joined by his tag team partner, and the only friend he seems to be able to rely on nowadays, Katsuyori Shibata. They are going against Shane Taylor Promotions, Anthony Ogogo in their corner, Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty. The first part of this was like your standard tag team fare, but when they hit like second, third gear, this really got going down the stretch. The crowd got really invested into things. We started seeing some big moves. Shane Taylor is just great at how he just clubbers down on smaller opponents. Like the way he puts Orange Cassidy's hands in his pocket and just chops the shit out of him and then punches him in the ribs. It just looks very brutal. In the end, we get a whole bunch of big moves and reversals, wild counters led to Taylor headbutting Cassidy, trying for the package power driver when Shibata came in and sank in a choke while Cassidy was still upside down. Ogogo jumped on the apron and was knocked off just as quick. Cassidy and Moriarty trade a series of pinning attempts before Cassidy lands a big orange punch for the victory in this one. I actually like this one a little bit better than the opener. I give it 3.25 stars, but I am still standing here once again, back-to-back shows for AEW, and I'm just like, Why didn't Trent cost Orange at least one of these matches? To give Shane Taylor Promotions a damn win. Y'all keep telling us they're on a roll, but what roll? Are they rolling downhill? Because that's where it seems like they're going.
Yeah, they have like what, one TV
One
match?
win.
Yeah,
one win
one
because
TV
Jericho's
win.
an idiot.
Yeah, I really love this iteration of Shane Taylor Promotions. I think him and Lee work so well as a tag team, and adding in a Go-Go is another interesting element. That one I need to see a Go-Go working more with them. If they're going to run as trios, I need to see how they gel. But Moriarty and Shane Taylor work very well together, and I would have liked to have seen them pick up a win, but it's fine. I was okay with it because I think it was also important to get Orange Cassidy a win right now after losing the Intercontinental. What's that? International? Yeah. There's so many titles. Yeah, the international
I'm so
title.
confused. There's so many different titles.
Look, I'm running on 2 hours of sleep today. I'm so tired.
Like I just got off a nap off the plane. Like, give me a break.
Yeah.
We got Andy in the chat who says great pay-per-view, which seems to be the consensus of our chat so far. Keep sounding off in the chat, y'all. We got Safet who says Dynasty was a great pay-per-view. Nelly Nell in the chat joining us. Thanks for joining us today. He says, I'm happy Swerve won the AEW World Championship. Well deserved. We also got Frantic World who says, what's up, SP3? Kaden in chat. I can't believe you. Actual Ospreay, how he feels about the Triple H shot, Kaden?
When we get to the Will Danielson match, I'll talk about that.
Fair enough. We also got Vala B who says my president and champion. No, not president. Joe Biden's the farthest thing from black. My champion is black. Next up, we had the 0 hour main event. Bullet Club Gold, Switchblade Jay White, and the Guns defending the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team championships in a winner-takes-all battle against the AEW World Trios champions, Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and Daddy Ass Billy Gunn, the Acclaimed. We get Caster has an extended freestyle that has a couple of lines that could get him in trouble if it wasn't on the pre-show. But apparently some people liked it, so fair enough. But this was a kind of like standard fare, like the last matchup for a good portion of it. I really felt like they picked it up a little bit in the final 5 minutes of the matchup. And in the end, regardless of how I feel about that Daddy Ass Jay White matchup, where Daddy Ass dominated Jay White for 11 minutes of an 11-minute and 49-second matchup, in the end, Switchblade Jay White hits the Blade Runner 1, 2, 3 and pins Billy Gunn. So in the end, if that was the plan all along, in the end, you could have just made the singles matchup a little more competitive. I'm just saying. You could have made it just a little bit more competitive. But this turned out to be a pretty decent matchup. I gave it 3 stars. Bullet Club Gold, now your unified AEW World Trios and Ring of Honor World 6-man Tag Team Champions. Hey, Jay White's got 2 belts, so I can't complain too much. But like I said, I give it 3.25 because Jay White won. Kaden?
So I don't do a lot of podcasts, so I haven't gotten to talk about my distaste of what they've been doing with the Switchblade Jay White. It's genuinely, I don't get it. He is one of the most talented heels in all professional wrestling, and he has been delegated to the Ring of Honor 6-man titles. I know he has the trios titles now, but still, like, that's just absurd. I was with Caster's rap. I need him to stop. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, I don't get it. Just he shouldn't be given live mics at this point. Especially after this one, I'm like, just why do you even give him the live mic? Like, he's gonna say something. Match was fine. Thought it worked fairly well. I was only interested in this because if Jay White lost, especially if he took a pin, I think I would have been really sad. Like, just genuinely depressed going into the main card. So Jay White winning had me like pumping my fist, texting my friends saying, thank God it's over. And we get those belts off the Acclaimed. The reign of terror is over with those trios championships. So hopefully can now get some really good matches with the Bang Bang Gang. I've loved seeing how the Guns have improved. I think they can have some really good matches in this division. And then let's try to course correct here with this division right now. That's all I need.
I mean, I don't know how you could course correct at this point. I just want Jay White to have consistent time on TV, and honestly, I just want him to have a singles feud. And I know that I'll probably have to wait for Darby Allin to make his return for that to happen, and that he's gonna be stuck in the trios division until then. Just give him someone interesting to work with. There was nothing good about this Acclaimed. I mean, there was like 2 good weeks where they were together, and then there was the turn. That was the only good things that happened in the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold rivalry. Everything in between, which was a 4-month rivalry, by the way, that started with the 2 teams wanting to get revenge on Undisputed Kingdom, which they totally forgot. Because Undisputed Kingdom said they were going to win all the titles, and they were like, well, we'll win all the titles first. And then they was like, oh, we forgot about the other thing.
Yeah. Something I could see them doing that I thought about today is if they're just trying to find something in the summer for like Ospreay to do just to get them until Wembley. Because there's going to be like, they got to fill a few months to get to August 25th. They could do a nice little feud with when Mark Davis comes back to do Aussie Open and Ospreay and a trios feud with the Bang Bang Gang. I think it'd be a nice little month long.
No,
you wouldn't do that?
No. We already got 1 main eventer stuck in this trios division. We're not doing that. We're not doing it again. No. I refuse. No. That's not a good idea. I'm sorry. I will play along with you on anything, but no, the solution to a main eventer being in the trios division is not to put another main eventer in the trios division. That is not the solution. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry to let you know. We got a super chat donation here. Thank you so much, Vala B. I appreciate it. He says, top rope was climbed, vibes were caught, big pressure was applied. In the ring, Joe did not survive. We all swerve while we drive. When we swerve while we drive. Hey, I like that, Vala B. That was a great comment. Thank you so much for the super chat donation. We got Sleeping Angels just laughing. I guess I had our exchange there. We got I think if Juice was a part of the whole Acclaimed little partnership, then it probably would have been more entertaining.
Yeah, that would have helped. And if Castro just shut up.
That too. Probably more people would enjoy it if Castro shut the fuck up. But yes, we got to move over to the main card. We got the main card kicking off with the AEW Continental Championship. Kazuchika Okada defending against Pac. I got so excited when this was announced as the opener. I was like, oh, we're kicking off with a banger. And we get the big entrances, championship level entrances for both men. And the crowd was fully invested right from the opening bell. We get holy shit chants right at the bell. The match began with a series of counters leading to Pac trying to ground the larger Okada. Pac with a snap Hurricane Rana sent Okada to the floor, where Pac followed up with a twisting dive, landing right on his feet. Okada was driven into the barricade back inside. Pac wasted no time, hitting a huge avalanche brainbuster for a 2 count. We get Pac started toying around with Okada. Like the early portion, Pac was really playing the heel of this matchup. Then Okada hits a drop kick, knocking him off the top rope. He smacks I think Pac smacked his leg on the edge of the apron. Okada with a snap low drop kick, and then he resulted in a loud ovation. He returns the favor. He starts toying with Pac himself. We get the perfect drop kick by Okada and just the cockiness. I love Okada. He hits a DDT, a hangman's DDT on the outside, completely crushing Pac. And then he goes inside. He follows up with another DDT, and he gets a 2 count. And he has the biggest fake look of shock, and then it turns into a smile. I was like, this man has the best facial expressions I think I've ever seen in a professional wrestler. We get Pac coming back, making his comeback. He hits a big missile drop kick, series of kicks, but Okada avoids the final one. He does a rebound where he rebounds Pac off the ropes, hits it, goes for a German suplex, but Pac lands on his feet. Pac does the same rebound off the ropes and hits the German suplex on Okada, but Okada rolls through to his feet and hits a big shotgun dropkick to a loud ovation from the fans. Pac charges and suffers an air raid crash on the knees for another 2 count. Okada with another cocky look. He connects with the top rope elbow drop, and then he looks like he's going for the Rainmaker pose when he flips off the crowd and totally turns this crowd that was 100% on Okada's side for most of this matchup. He totally turned them against him. He goes for the Rainmaker. Pac reverses that to a rolling flash pin. He then hits a super kick, a big old lariat, and then a deadlift German suplex. Pac goes for the Black Arrow, but he crashes and burns when Okada moves out the way. Okada drops him with a tombstone, but then Pac turns the Rainmaker into another cradle. He does a victory row and then seeks in the crucifix brutalizer. Okada tries for another tombstone, but Pac reverses it into one of his own. He goes to the top rope for the Black Arrow, but Okada grabs the referee leg, which distracts Pac long enough. Pac gets down from the ropes. He starts kicking Okada in the head multiple different times. He goes to the top rope for the Black Arrow, but he runs right into Okada's knees, right to the face. One Rainmaker, 1, 2, 3. Kazuchika Okada defeats Pac to retain the AEW Continental Championship in an absolutely fantastic opener. This was, in my opinion, one of the greatest AEW pay-per-view openers of all time. This was just two top-notch performers, reminding everybody just who the hell they are. This was the Okada New Japan main event pacing to it, but with Pac's kind of fast speed with the different sequences he was able to do, and then Okada keeping pace with him, and then Pac just reminded everyone that he is one of the best in-ring workers alive, whether it be his precision, his pacing, his speed, his high flying. This guy has all the tools, and this crowd in St. Louis, gave him all the respect, all the love and adulation after the matchup with "He's our bastard" chants. This match went nearly 22 minutes. I gave it 4 3/4 stars. Like I said, I think this is one of the greatest AEW pay-per-view openers of all time.
I agree. It's right up there with Darby and MJF at Full Gear 2021. That's the one that always stands out to me as like that was the best opener, and this is just right up there with it and potentially pushing it out of that spot. I got to rewatch both of them to see how I feel at this point. Fantastic matchup between these two that is honestly like more than any other match. It's on my number one to rewatch, even though I think it's not my favorite match on the show. I don't think it's the best match on the show, but it's the one I want to rewatch most because like when you're starting the show, there's a lot of things going on when you're in the crowd. There's a lot of different elements. I was talking to a few different people. So there's a few things I early in the match that I missed. And so I want to rewatch and get the psychology and all that in there. The biggest thing when Okada came to AEW, I was worried about was how he would adjust his style. And I thought that with the Eddie Kingston match specifically, it didn't work for me because I just didn't think they gelled in general, but also it felt like he never really left second gear. And in a pay-per-view format, he's given more time to go. He doesn't have to work for television with commercial cuts. And it let them put together a fantastic match that really suited what Okada needs to have a fantastic match. And I thought everything just came together really well between these two. Incredible chemistry. With these matchups, you don't know what you're going to get out of it, but it's Pac and it's Okada. You can kind of know that these two are going to have great chemistry just based off of how good they are. This was just a fantastic opener that really got the crowd in, and I hope we can see more of this version of Okada. If he can get this style condensed a little bit more into 15 minutes, and we can start seeing these types of matches on TV instead of just the pay-per-views, we're made. We're good.
I'm fine. I'm fine with this saving this quality for the pay-per-view because that's Okada's MO. Okada was gonna bust out a banger on TV. He's treating that like it's a Road 2 show. Like that's what he did. Regardless of it being a main event, I thought the Eddie Kingston matchup was good, but that's all it needed to be. It just needed to be good. It didn't need to be something spectacular. This did. and it delivered. This was the Okada escalation. We had the slowdown, the build. We got second gear, third gear, and then they just went all out at the end there with a great finishing sequence that adds more to the Okada heel character. That's why I love the finish most of all. Got a bunch of people praising this matchup. Safet saying Okada versus Pac was a banger. We also got Frantic World. He says the match was really good. We got Balabi, who says Big Kaz Man. We also got King of Potato, who says top to bottom, great show, except the Jericho match. So not top to bottom, but still great. It's still a great show. So not top to bottom. No, actually top and the bottom are good. It's just the middle. There's a little bit of shit in my sandwich. This AEW Dynasty sandwich has a little bit of shit in it. AEW. I don't know if you can scoop that out. But yeah, we got Safet in the chat who says 4 3/4 stars for him. So he agrees with my rating of the matchup. Nelly Nell, who says JY should be on AEW main pay-per-view cards and not on the pre-show card. SMH. I totally agree with that because the Jericho match had no business being on the main card if this wasn't on the main card. That 6-man tag team matchup they had built for 4 months. They had built the Jericho one for a month. Like, there is a if you're going to dedicate that much TV time to something, it better make the main card. If it's on the pre-show, all in all, this is one of the worst AEW feuds of the year. And we also got here Nudie, who says Ospreay versus a White 1-on-1 would be good though, but these means White gonna eat another loss. So that's what I said. No, I'm good. Let's keep them away from each other for a little while longer. Just a little while longer. We got Big Man Dogs, who says my hot take is that the Jericho match was good. I think that it was good work in it. It just went too long.
I wouldn't know.
It just went too long. I'm gonna explain the whole Jericho match to you. So
I'm so interested. I'm interested to know what happened. Yeah, I'm
gonna tell you everything. We got like I'm doing the work for you. That's our gimmick.
I appreciate it.
We stole Simon Miller's gimmick at Woke Culture. We watch it so you don't have to. Next up, we had trios action. Former AEW World Trios champions, the House of Black, Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, going up against TNT champion Adam Copeland, NJPW Strong Openweight champion Eddie Kingston, and Ring of Honor World champion Mark Briscoe. This one had the crowd fully invested as well, since it was early on in the crowd and they had a bunch of baby faces they could get behind. We got the little teases of a showdown between Copeland and Black early on, but they did not touch. They were very specific in the layout of this matchup. We got a tease of Copeland and Black early, but they did not touch. Copeland mostly worked with Brody King throughout this matchup, while Malachi worked mostly with Briscoe. But, oh man, Eddie Kingston and Brody King, it's like, why didn't y'all give us this right after the C2? He beat him in the C2. He should have been the first challenger for the Continental Championship, because once they were in the ring together, I was like, oh yeah, this was one of my favorite matches from the C2. When they started beating the crap out of each other, it just had a different energy to the matchup. And then when all 6 guys were in the ring, it was just crazy nonstop action. Got the great little spot where Briscoe puts a chair on the apron and does a somersault dive all over the turnbuckle off the chair to Brody King, which was ridiculous because that chair could have moved and it would have went totally wrong. We get big superplex by Copeland on Brody. We get also at one point all consecutive spears, simultaneous spears, as we get 2 on the apron, 1 in the ring by Copeland, King, and Briscoe. Kingston was so into this matchup and hitting Brody King as hard as he can. He hit him so hard he went mental and fell over to the point that Mark Briscoe had to help his ass up. But After all the dismay, after the consecutive spears, it looked like Copeland had his target in sight with Malachi Black left in the ring. He was finally going to get his hands on Malachi when Malachi turned around into the spear with the referee distracted, and he spits out the Black Miss. He hits the end. 1, 2, 3. Malachi Black becomes the second man in AEW besides Christian Cage to get a pinfall victory over Adam Copeland, and he has pinned the TNT champion, setting himself up for a TNT championship matchup, and maybe even possibly House of Black with Brody King and Buddy Matthews getting shots at Briscoe and King's titles as well. I think that would set up as well, but House of Black, Copeland, Kingston, Briscoe, I give it 3 3/4 stars. What did you think?
I thought this was a very solid trios match. I personally, when I pace cards out in my head, I like to put the trios matches like this. I would put it a little later, but I thought it worked pretty well. Second match on the card based off of what they actually ended up doing. Also would have condensed it a little bit. I think it went like a tiny bit too long in one of the heat segments where I was like, okay, we're getting a little, like, I could feel the crowd kind of losing the steam a little bit, but I thought the work here was very well done. The House of Black, all three of them are fantastic wrestlers who just don't get the time to wrestle for whatever reason that is. Not saying it's anybody's fault particularly. I'm just saying whatever's going on back there with the lore guys. I would like to see them be a little bit more active on TV and in singles matches, tag matches, trios, whatever. I like to see these guys wrestle. And anytime they have a big match like this, I remember how good they are. I thought that all three guys on the other side, Cope, Kingston, and Briscoe, worked very well with them, and everything just came together for a very solid, a 3 3/4 trios match that just set up a good feud for Double or Nothing, I assume, where they're going to do Malachi and Copeland. I think I still would have preferred to just do Malachi and Copeland here, but I understand they're doing the lore stuff, so it's fine.
And this is an extra pay-per-view, so I understood that this was basically a setup matchup for what's the real pay-per-view matchup at Double or Nothing. So if this was a collision main event, it would have been a great collision main event. For second match on the card, it was a very good trios matchup. And I disagree, though. Trios matchups in AEW especially are always better early on in the card. Elite versus House of Black, multiple Elite versus Death Triangle. They were all second match on the card. You got to have that early because it creates that energy of the show. And whenever they do the trios matches later in the card, we get instances of House of Black versus the Acclaimed, it's just, it doesn't work out too great. And even Elite versus Dark Order, the first AEW World Trios Championship match, second match on the card.
Yeah.
We got here in the chat, we got Big Man Dogs who says, is Copeland's fault for not closing his eyes? Fair and square, clean win. That is true. He could have just closed his eyes and he would have been fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
I don't know
hurt,
why, why do people not just close their eyes for the mist? That's just
or do this.
Yeah. You see the interference. You know Malachi does the mist. Just get your hands up. I don't know, wear a visor. I'm sure visors are legal.
But I enjoyed that finish. That was great. I did not expect that finish. When he's going for the spear, I did not expect he's going to spit the mist because I was like, oh, shit. All right, cool. I was like, because I honestly thought, I was like, because of how Tony books the House of Black, I was like, okay, there's a chance these baby faces are going to win. Even though House of Black should win, it's a chance. Briscoe and Kingston and Copeland will win.
Yeah.
But I was surprised. Pleasant. We got here Safat who says, are we gonna see a heel turn by Adam Copeland? Why?
No. I think we see a face turn by Christian more likely than a heel turn by Adam Copeland.
I could see that. Yeah, the time to do the Copeland heel turn was you do a Christian Copeland matchup where if Copeland loses, he has to join the patriarchy. And then little by little, Christian turns him over to the dark side. That's how you did the Copeland heel turn. I don't even know why we're axing now. It seems he's kind of established as a babyface in AEW now.
Yeah.
We got Power Driver Finisher says they need to see the mist coming at them. That is true. So you can't cover your eyes. You have to actually see it coming.
Yeah.
It's very confusing. But we go to our next title match on the card for the AEW TBS Championship. Julia Hart defends against Willow Nightingale. We heard about the injury to Julia Hart going in, so I was not too surprised that this was the shortest match on the card. I was actually surprised this got a lot more time than I thought it would be. Honestly, me and Jimmy on Thursday, we're talking like this is probably going to be like a 30-second 1-minute matchup if Julia's really hurt. The way it looked on Wednesday in that mixed tag team matchup, it looked like you couldn't even touch her. But she did a lot in this matchup despite, working around the injury. It was a gutsy performance by Julia Hart. In the end, though, she was here to give Willow Nightingale a big moment. Julia goes for the moonsault, but Willow's able to get her feet up, kicking her right in the face, hitting the big old pounce, as well as the babe with the power bomb. 1, 2, 3. Willow Nightingale becomes your new AEW TBS champion. I got to give credit for the first match. Jim Ross was great on commentary. He felt like he had a lot more energy and he added a lot to Okada and Pac. Stokely Hathaway was amazing on commentary in this matchup because as soon as Willow gets to 3, he says, Chuck E. Cheese, here we come. Post-match, Statlander and Stokely get into the ring to celebrate and a group hug with Willow Nightingale. This whole trio, this whole group, which is kind of the creative brainchild of Will Washington, really has taken Willow to the next level where she feels like a bigger star because of the investment the crowd has had into this collective of her, Stokely, and Statlander. So love that they got this moment in the ring together. But the moment was soon robbed from her as none other than the CEO, Mercedes Moné, who looked amazing in that pink dress, comes out and steals the moment. Commentary emphasizes how Mercedes has ruined the moment for Willow Nightingale, a moment that she worked so hard for, and Mercedes was trying to upstage her, but it then was made official with the graphic in the corner there at AEW Double or Nothing. It will be Willow Nightingale defending the TBS Championship against Mercedes Moné 1 year, 5 days to the date of their first encounter at NJPW Resurgence last year. What did you think about this matchup and the post-match with Mercedes Moné? I gave the match itself 3.25 stars. It was really good for a 6-minute match.
I gave it, I think, like 2.25. I don't know. It's just not for me. Like, just there wasn't really anything like interesting, which is I knew going in that's just not what the match was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have done this in about sub 120 seconds. I would have just had Willow come in and just beat the dog shit out of Julia if Julia was not going to work an extended match here, which I just don't think she was going to do. At least she was going to do it in general. But when you add in the injury from last week, just do a shock win and just have Willow just beat the piss out of her, and it makes Willow look incredibly strong, and you can just cover it up by saying Julia had suffered an injury. I think it would have been okay to just do it that way. I understand why they wanted to go 6, so that way Julia didn't look like super terrible in the loss, but it's fine. I thought it was fine for what they needed to do here and giving Willow the win, which was awesome. I love Willow a lot, and so I liked seeing her get this massive win and holding this TBS championship, even though she's only going to hold it for a little over 30 days when she drops it to Mercedes Moné in Las Vegas. The post match I thought was also very, very good. Excited that I got to see Mercedes in person for the first time since she joined AEW. Hoping she's in Jacksonville this week. I would like to see her at Daily's Place. Very nitpicky thing. I am very particular about how you film things for TV, for pay-per-view, whatever, like how the wrestlers position themselves, how the cameras are positioned, how they get shots. And the way Mercedes got in the ring and positioned herself, I was like, okay, turn a little bit so we can see your face a little bit more, because even her back was straight up to the hard cam, which I know they wanted to do to get the shot of them facing off with the Double or Nothing sign in the background with the stage. But even then, she was still a little bit turned a little too much toward the stage. I was like, okay, just turn a little bit. Extremely nitpicky thing that I just have issues with, but like just getting your shots right. I think it would have looked better, but that, again, nobody else cares besides like me and 5 other people.
I don't.
Yeah. I work in television sports production, so I'm very like particular about getting shots right.
I've worked in television before, but you know, stuff like that. In wrestling, I think it's different. It's different. I have a different perspective of it. Just me.
Yeah.
Frantic Rose.
I know I'm a nerd about it.
Frantic Rose says, I enjoyed this match and big congrats to Willow Nightingale, our new TBS champion. We got Safet, who gives it 3 3/4 stars. We got Emmanuel, who says, if built right, I can see Monet and Willow main eventing Double or Nothing. The only way it does that if they turn Mercedes heel. She is heel. Like, can anyone can anyone call Tony on the phone and let him know that Mercedes, even though she's not a heel yet in AEW, I think she's been playing one this whole time.
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say something on accident. I'm not supposed to say. I'm just gonna shut the fuck up.
What? Something I'm not supposed to say?
I don't want to like. There's certain things where I'm like, I'm just not gonna talk about this.
Okay, that was weird. But Emmanuel, they gotta. If you don't want to say something, then don't say that you don't want to say something.
I didn't say anything.
You said I don't want to say something. That makes everybody want to know what you wanted to say. And here on True Hill Heat, we don't do that. We say what we're gonna say, and we say it with our chest.
I think that I think Mercedes should be a heel. I think it's another thing where like there's a lot of wrestlers in the company who have at least like we all know like Papperman, right? She brought in Jen Papperman to help with her story. I don't know if that's like because Jericho's same thing where like he has a lot of control over his creative. If this is an instance where Mercedes has control over her creative and doesn't want to turn heel, Tony needs to step in and turn her heel.
Yeah. There's just you have to prove CM Punk wrong and be a boss. And be like, this is the thing that's gonna work. This is how we're gonna build this right. Like Emmanuel wants you to, for it to be possible to have the first ever women's main event. Right now, it's not looking possible if they're doing a babyface versus babyface, Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale. And how is it that every wrestling promotion knows to make Mercedes a heel except for AEW? Like New Japan, she came in as a heel. WWE, she first got successful as a heel. Why is it taking so long for AEW to realize this?
Yeah, she needs to turn soon. Like I disagree with the choice to not if she's not cleared, that's a whole other conversation. And when I asked Tony in the scrum, I was like,
that was a good question.
Yeah. I made sure I was like, I got to be extremely narrow to make sure he cannot get out of this and spin it. I was like, is she, as of right now, is she?
And he still spinned it, but he gave you the answer of saying that she's not cleared until he didn't say that. He didn't say the key word of until we wrote Double or Nothing. He said she's cleared for the match at Double or Nothing, basically meaning she's not cleared until Double or Nothing.
I listened to the wording and like he said, she will be cleared by Double or Nothing. I'm like, okay, so she's not cleared yet. Like that wording was very specific. He must have like known like that was the wording he had picked out already. And if that's the case of like, she's not cleared right now, I wouldn't have debuted her in Boston on March 13th. I would have waited until like I would have done it.
Unless no. You can debut her on March 13th. She just needs to drop Willow at the end of that show. And turn heel immediately.
I agree with that.
She should have dropped Willow and turned heel immediately. I said that. I was like, there's two choices to make this and stick the landing that it can be the best debut in AEW history. I put out the question there and we answered it. It wasn't. It was a very good debut, but it could have been even better if you made one of two choices. You start her out and probably she's not cleared either because he didn't even give that answer. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I felt like that was the best person. If you wanted Mercedes to be a babyface, she had to go against Britt or no one else. No one else was going to be able to be a heel that on a level like Britt Baker could have been with Mercedes Moné. If Britt's not healthy, then you have to turn Mercedes heel because there's no one. Toni Storm will get cheered. Julia Hart probably would have got cheered. And now you're feuding her against Willow Nightingale. she's getting cheered. So it's just like,
Yeah.
dude, there is steps. If you can't do one thing, you have the other choice, and he's not making the other choice. That's what's confusing.
Yeah, I don't get the decision. That's something I'm just like, it doesn't make sense to me. It's not what I would have done. I'm sure I understand, like, from if you're a booker and you're like, okay, well, I can get Mercedes on my show for 70 days leading up and try to get a ratings boost. I understand that, but you look at the ratings and they haven't necessarily translated. So then you're like, okay, so I mean, I get it, like, because you're like, you think you're gonna get it and it just didn't translate. And so in hindsight and whatever that phrase is, yeah, I don't agree with it.
Yeah, like I'm hoping. I'm the reason why I'm complaining about it so much on this review is because there was, other than the commentary saying she ruined Willow's moment, I didn't get a clear sign that that is the direction they're going with.
Yep.
Because I have no faith in babyface versus babyface, Willow versus Mercedes build up. I have no faith. I think they will deliver once the bell rings, but the build up, it's going to be awful if it's babyface versus babyface.
Do you believe the theory that Mercedes didn't actually get beat up in that segment? That you like?
I would like that. I would like that.
That'd be good.
If that's part of the whole heel turn, is that she wants to like put herself as like the big victim and make herself into the babyface, and that's how you turn her heel. I'm with that. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a couple of super chats here from the good brother Chuck Berries. Thank you so much, Chuck Berries. I appreciate the support. He says, kind of shocked they had Copeland take the loss. But having said that, Malachi Black is not beating Adam Copeland. He beat him here. So as long as he got the win here, it was smart for Copeland to say, it probably was not the first option is pin Copeland here, but I think maybe Copeland said you need that to properly set up Malachi Black for the TNT Championship. So I like the fact that Copeland took the loss here.
Yeah, I thought that worked fine. Getting Malachi, it's a trios match. I don't particularly care that much if you're actually going to legitimately build a contender for a match. Then I'm okay with champions taking pins every once in a while. When it's like WWE for a while did that consistent thing of champions always getting pinned in like tag or multi-mans, and that is frustrating. Yeah. But it's Adam Copeland's second loss. He's been in the company since October for a second pinfall, third pinfall.
Third pinfall loss.
Yeah,
second
pinfall.
Person.
Yeah, second person. Perfect. I'll take it. Like he does not need to be protected like a Will Ospreay needs to be protected.
I agree. We got another super chat donation from Chuck Berries once again. Thank you so much, good brother. He says, why did TK wait until last night to declare that Mercedes would be cleared to wrestle for Double or Nothing? He didn't wait till last night to declare that. He was only axed last night. That's
by this guy.
By this guy over here.
That was like going in. I was like, I gotta ask this question. So like there was no, Mercedes had said she was cleared in an interview, but it's wrestlers are working, and the answer we got kind of indicated that maybe she was working and she's not like, I think she was half telling the truth though, because I think she's cleared for physical contact. And I think that's what she like was trying to say. I was like, oh, I'm doing moves, I'm taking bumps, I'm cleared, but you're not actually cleared. That's why I was like, are you cleared for a singles match? Which no, she's not.
No, which is understandable. But yeah, then you have to question why debut her 2 months before she's cleared for a singles match. If you don't know what you're gonna do, if you don't have a plan, because that's the issue with the Mercedes Moné so far, is that you had 3 big signings. Ospreay, clearly there was a plan, and you've made him a top star in the company. Okada, clearly there was a plan, and you made him into your own character, and he's a champion already. With Mercedes, it just doesn't look like there was a plan.
Yeah,
there was a plan of the first matchup, but there wasn't a plan of how to get there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Ospreay and Okada had creative in 2023. Like, I think by the end of 2023, both of their creative plans were almost fully figured out. I think Tony had said I think it was Tony who said, like, maybe in the media call, it might have been the scrum too, where he was like, oh yeah, we kind of like did most of the Okada stuff in Jacksonville on that January 10th episode. So even then, but that's still like almost 2 months before he debuted. They had clear creative for him going in. Like they knew everything for that first month and a half for both Ospreay and Okada. And then Mercedes, it just, yeah, like it feels like there wasn't a concrete plan, or there was a plan and they deviated from it. And they're trying to figure out, okay, we want to get to Mercedes Willow and we wanted to go this way, but that's not working. So now let's kind of go this way, but we also don't exactly know, which happens. I feel like that happens a lot in AEW where they're like, okay, we wanted to go this way, but now we don't want to go that way. So let's kind of figure out how we get there now. And they make it up on the fly.
And it just goes in the most roundabout way. Instead of just simply, I hate to say it, do what WWE does. Pivot. Just pivot. Like, that's all you have to do. Just pivot. And they just refuse. It's like they refuse to pivot. They're like, nope, we're gonna get to what we wanted to do. We're just gonna find a weird way to get there. But here we are. Thank you for the super chat donations, Chuck Berries. Keep sending those out. We always appreciate those, and make sure they will be read out on screen. Next up, we got the AEW International Championship up for grabs. Roderick Strong defends against Kyle O'Reilly. This was straight up a professional wrestling clinic. I love the fact that, commentary went over their past in Ring of Honor and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and that really set the stage for a very even match from both men. The transitions, the counter work, the technical wrestling was superb in this matchup. Strong focused on the back, hitting a multitude of different backbreakers throughout the contest. We get a loud chop from Strong, which woke up O'Reilly. He switches to the boots, Strong, to keep O'Reilly down. He continued delivering backbreaker. At one point, he hit a torture rack into the double knees for a 2 count. O'Reilly fought off the end of Heartache into a guillotine. He let go of that and started locked on a knee bar. We get Strong managed a desperation angle slam as a series of charging forearms nearly led to a step-up knee, but O'Reilly was able to dodge that and hung up Strong for the hit a top rope guillotine knee. Then he hit another one to the knee and locked on another knee bar, but Strong was able to fight out of that. In the end, it looked like O'Reilly was on his way to a victory when Wardlow came out, caused a distraction that took O'Reilly off of his game enough for Strong to hit the sick kick, and he followed up with the end of Heartache to pick up the victory and retain the AEW International Championship. Post-match, Adam Cole is rolled out on the stage in his wheelchair by Mike Bennett and Mac Taven, and then suddenly he stands and power walks to the ring under his own power. Yes, Adam Cole can walk. The Kingdom holds up Strong on their shoulders as Cole gets into the ring and gives a long glare to the back of the head of Wardlow, teasing and sowing the seeds for when the Undisputed Kingdom turns against Wardlow. But this matchup, like I said, was an absolute clinic. Just smooth, fluid, professional wrestling, and 2 professionals who are great at the mat work, great at counter work, really delivering in the ring here. It felt like the crowd was really invested into the action, not so much the story, but the action they're very much into. So I gave the match 4 stars. What did you think?
I fucking loved this. This ruled. I love Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly's style so much. Like, it is besides Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr., it's like the most for me wrestling styles ever. And the crowd was just like dead silent. There was no sound. No one was like making a noise. And I was just like enjoying the hell out of it. And it made it, like, honestly, it made it better. It's so much better than if they were like doing, this is awesome. Like, no, let me have my grabs and just hear them kicking the shit out of each other. Everything popped so well. These guys obviously like have their history, but they know each other so well where it adds an extra element. I was worried going in because Kyle has only been back for about a month and a half, has been a little bit limited with the amount of wrestling he's been able to do since then. I think he's only worked like 5 matches in the last 2 years. So that's always a little worrying. But when you put him in there with somebody like a Roderick Strong, you get the best out of him. And they just had such a great wrestling match. It was a pure wrestling match. And it's something that like I want more out of AEW like pay-per-views. Every AEW pay-per-view should have something like this. And Roderick Strong with this international championship is probably like the best guy you're going to get to be able to have this consistently. I went a little higher than you because of how much I love this style. I give it 4.25, but 4 stars. I get it. I love the style so much that I'm like, I gotta bump it up a little bit for me.
I may bump it up on a second viewing because this was really damn good. Like I said, I felt like the kind of some of the air of the matchup went out of it by Wardlow coming in. So if they didn't have Wardlow come in, I probably would be with you at 4.25. But some of the air came out of it after that interference for no reason because Roddy won clean.
Yeah, I don't know why that was needed. And it was like, the funniest thing was, I guess it's not funny, but like 5 minutes before he comes out, Wardlow had tweeted about the car crash. And then he comes out and I'm like, did he just work us? Is that what? I was so confused. It was like, what's going on? I'm also happy that Adam Cole's back. I hope he's like, I don't know if he's cleared, but he looks healthy. He can walk without a boot on. And I'm interested to see what they do now because maybe now they're going to get ready to bring MJF back and run that match at Vegas. Maybe if they want to do it in Vegas, that would be fine with me.
I always
feels early.
Yeah, I always thought that they might wait for either now that Long Island is on the pay-per-view schedule, even though that's Forbidden Door. I wouldn't be surprised if he came back then or he had his first big pay-per-view match back at that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And I always thought that they were that Cole's injury was taking a lot longer, and so was MJF with all the injury he had, that they were probably gonna wait till All In for the rematch between Cole and MJF.
Yeah, that makes sense. 100%.
We got Adam Pearson in the chat. Thanks for joining us, good brother. He says, praise Jesus for Adam's healing. He also had a great comment here talking about the Jericho match. He says, Chris Jericho wrestling now makes me genuinely angry. And if you know Adam Pearson, you know he's one of the nicest people in the world. So you have to know that Chris Jericho is that bad. It's like watching my DoorDash order arriving late on the app, but they're also in a shit band and still ask for a tip. Just give me my Wendy's. Oh my God, I felt that. Like when he described that, I felt that in my chest. For me, it would be Uber Eats, but I still felt that.
Yeah.
I still felt that. Emmanuel saying Wardlow can't even cheat right. That's why Cole was looking at him like, this nigga ain't shit. That's what he was looking at him like, should have never recruited you. That's what he looked. You telling me that and that wasn't the look he gave him? He's like, I should.
It's 100% what the 100%.
He's like, I should have left you in Warjo.
Oh my God. Warjo. Oh no. Oh, I forgot about Warjo. No. God.
All right. Now it is time for the moment that Kaden's been waiting for this entire review. For me to recap the match he did not watch. Chris Jericho challenges Hook for the FTW Championship. Jericho offered a fist bump to start the matchup. Hook accepted. As the match began, they started trading chops and punches until Hook started suplexing the shit out of Jericho. He hits a series of overhead suplex. Hook leaped for a shot off the apron, but he misses by like a mile. Jericho still sold it, which was not good. Excalibur said it was a glancing blow. Jericho slammed Hook into the announce table right in front of Taz. He sets up a table on the outside, which leads to a little bit later in the matchup. Both men are fighting on the apron, and Hook delivers a fucking T-bone suplex overhead on Jericho, where Jericho flies off the apron through a table And that is where the match peaked. It went another 10 minutes. Back in the ring, Hook hits another German suplex, and this is when the fans started turning against this matchup, and we started hearing "Go home, Jericho" chants. Jericho fought back with another corner clothesline, a top rope Hurricane Rana, which Jericho himself nearly fell on his damn head. Jericho threw in more weapons. He wanted a trash can shot, but Hook hit another German suplex. Hook places the trash can over Jericho's head, and he starts hitting him with a kendo stick. Then he delivers a fucking T-bone suplex with Jericho's head in the can. This had to be Hook's best performance, despite the fact that it went too long and the fans turned against it. It honestly was Hook's best performance in a matchup. He was just suplexing the shit out of Jericho this entire match. He does a big overhead throw, and Jericho comes back with a code breaker for a double down. With both men slugging it out, we get "please retire" chants at this point. Jericho rakes the eyes, but he misses a corner fist drop. Hook applies the red rum, but Jericho is able to fall back into a corner table. Jericho goes for the walls of Jericho, but Hook reverses it into a roll-up for a near fall. The red rum is applied again. This time, Jericho hits a mule kick. Then he hits a Judas effect, but Hook kicks out. Then he hits a second Judas effect, and Hook kicks out again. That got a big response from the fan. But finally, Jericho pulls out Floyd the Bat. Taz gets off commentary to a big reaction, but he's not able to stop Jericho before he nails his son right in the face with the bat to the chin. 1, 2, 3. Chris Jericho is your new FTW champion. Post-match, the medical doctors check on Hook as Taz tells Jericho to leave, and Jericho looks very despondent with having to do that to his mentee. 3 stars. It honestly, at one point, I was like, this may be like a 3.25, 3.5 star matchup if it didn't have Jericho and didn't go 5 minutes over the time it needed to go. But it did, so it's 3 stars. Kaden, what do you think about Chris Jericho beating Hook for the FTW championship?
You know, SP3, I thought this match was about... I gave it a good 2 stars on my watch.
You didn't watch it! I didn't have a 2-star rating!
I don't care. I'm giving it 2 stars.
That's why I gave you a specific question of you didn't watch it, but you know the result.
Yeah. My visceral reaction was, what the fuck? I think I said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Was my actual was what I said in the venue. I understand the decision. I understand the thought process. The thought process makes sense to me, right? Jericho, the fans are turning on him, so you do the thing where you have him beat Hook, and then you lean into it, and you don't give him Judas so that he can't sing and whatnot. The issue is, this version of Jericho, I talked about it last night with some people. The best comparison I had to Jericho's go away heat right now is Baron Corbin 2019. It's very similar. They're just no, it's not that people didn't like to boo Corbin. It was, get off our television screens. We don't want to see you. And that's what's going on right now with Jericho. Also similar to American Top Team in 2021, very similar thing where people were just we don't care. We just don't want you here. While I get the thought process, I don't see the benefit in this for really anybody. I don't think it makes Jericho look better. People are still going to be pissed off and not want to watch him. Hook took a loss to Jericho. I don't know. Maybe he's going to NXT. Maybe that's what's happening. Is he going to show up 2 weeks in NXT and face Nakajima? Is that what the plan is? Is Hook versus Nakajima? I don't know. I don't get it. Jericho's broken me at this point. I'm so tired of Chris Jericho. I've been tired of him for 1.5 years at this point. I think it was the Adam Cole match that broke my heart and just ruined me. I had to sit there during that match. And I was like, what is going on? That might be the worst match I've ever seen in person. But I will say,
you were at WrestleMania, weren't you?
Not this year's.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't see the Usos
I was
match.
gonna say, yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, no.
You saw the Usos match, right?
No. I was actually about to say, I was like, I'm pretty sure Hook and Jericho was not as bad as the Usos match.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. That's what
victory.
I was really gonna say. I was gonna say, if we're gonna compare it, and we don't compare it here, but if we're gonna compare the last two WWE pay-per-views, I would say this match is at least better than one.
That match was so bad.
I've been saying it all week, ever since WrestleMania. I've never been vindicated more by a horrible match. I've never been vindicated more, Kaden, because I said to everybody at SummerSlam, I was like, that was the worst decision they could have done. Why did they do that? Why did they do that?
I remember saying, I was like, they jumped the shark, and people were like, you don't know what jump the shark means. I'm like, yes, I do. That's what it means.
This is what we're watching.
Watch
One thing, though, I don't agree with you as far as the Corbin 2019 comparison to Jericho, because we never liked Corbin. We never liked Corbin that much. Yeah. This is more comparable to post Roman Reigns matchup at WrestleMania 33 Undertaker.
I wasn't watching wrestling then, so I can't.
Oh, but I'm letting you know, everybody and their mama loved the Undertaker until he just kept coming back. He just kept coming back, and it wasn't as good anymore. He stopped having good matches. He just kept coming back, having bad matches, and I compared him on this channel. I was like, he's the Brett Favre of professional wrestling. Brett Favre in football told us he was going to retire 101 fucking times and kept coming back and kept coming back. Oh, and it was a law of diminishing returns every time he fucking came back. And that was The Undertaker every single honestly, it was The Undertaker every single time after the streak. Like, there was the Brock Lesnar feud in 2015, and that's it. I didn't enjoy the Shane match. I didn't enjoy anything post the streak really that much, enough for me to say The Undertaker needed to be here. And I have not enjoyed a Chris Jericho feud since he was the Ocho and he dropped the ROH Ring of Honor World Championship to Claudio Castagnoli. It's been a law of diminishing returns since then. The Ricky Starks feud was okay. At least Ricky won in the end, and then they moved on. The Adam Cole matchup, like you said, that's one of the worst. That match, I feel, literally killed the Las Vegas territory for AEW.
Yes.
Then it was the mini feud with Sting and Darby, which, I mean, Sting almost killed himself in the blow off to that matchup. But that's besides the point. And then he followed up that with the Don Callis stuff, and he had to ruin what was. No one was really negative about Don Callis versus Kenny Omega until Chris Jericho got involved.
Yes,
here
2023. After, like, I thought Jericho had a very good 2022. The BCC Eddie story went longer than it should have, but the matches were good. Like, the Eddie match at Revolution, I think, is really good. The Bandito match when he was the Ocho doing the Ring of Honor, like, he just needs to. I think, like I said, like, sometimes wrestlers need to be told no, and he's someone who needs to be told no.
Or go home. Go home.
Yes.
You're expelled.
Go on tour. Go tour for a little bit.
Go tour. I booked 7 cities. Go on tour. Bye. We got in the chat Alex Powell, who says Starks versus Jericho was better than Punk versus Starks. Those matches between the two were horrible. I don't think the Punk and Stark matches were horrible, but I will say Starks versus Jericho at Revolution was their best matchup, and probably I remember that more than the Punk and Starks matches.
I don't remember the Punk. I genuinely don't remember what even happened in them.
It was Ricky B and Punk in the Owen Hart final, and then it was the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat referee match.
Yeah, I don't think I saw the second one. Yeah, they were fine. Yeah, the Revolution match.
They were fine, but that Revolution match with Jericho might have been Jericho's last great match.
Yes, that's the last match I gave a decent rating to.
We got Alex Powell, who says he agrees with us, says Hook versus Jericho was better than the Usos match and the Ray and Dom match at Mania 40. That Ray and Dom match was a straight up SmackDown match.
Yes.
Like they plucked a few SmackDown matches and played it off as a WrestleMania matchup on both nights. But we got Steven Chambers who says, my opinion, this match should have been on Dynamite. Give more time to the Joe versus Swerve matchup. I think Joe and Swerve went the perfect amount of time, but you don't need the match at all. This was like a 5-hour pay-per-view. You don't need this fucking match.
If you wanted to do the full 4 hours, I would have put Mariah May and Deonna Purrazzo in this spot instead of, I would have put a third women's match because, I mean, Julia and Willow was what it was. It wasn't going to be work rate. I was like, then put Athena in here or something. Like, let 2 women just have a very like heavy work rate match and get 3 women's matches on the show and let Hook and Jericho be you could have had it at Dailies. That would have worked really well at Dailies, honestly. Like that's a good place to have it.
Honestly, if they put Deonna and Mariah in this spot instead of this one, I would have still said that should have been on the pre-show. They don't make it an 8-match card. Without the Jericho match, I would have said this is better than Revolution. And without that Jericho match, right, it's like SmackDown in the middle, I would have said the main card for Dynasty was better than the main card for Revolution. But it's not because of that Jericho match. And because of the Jericho match, I can't say Revolution was the best AEW pay-per-view of all time. It's one of the best, but I can't say it's the best because Jericho stunk up the joint there too.
What was that? That was the scramble match, right?
Yeah. Scramble match. We all went to concessions. We all went. Yes. I saw we were all I saw Jeremy. We all went to concessions.
Yeah. That's I don't know how many pay-per-views this is in a row for me where I'm like, I'm getting up for Jericho's match.
Big Man Does says the show would have been way better if you cut 3 to 4 matches. Big Man Does, you don't like good wrestling, so I wouldn't even share my opinion if you saying cut 3 of. No, you cut the Jericho match. This is a really good show. This is like an all-time pay-per-view. The main, I'm just talking about the main card. Yeah, if we're both being honest, Big Man Does, I would have done Trent versus Matt Sydal on a pre-show even of a pay-per-view. That's a Rampage match. But everything else acceptable on the pre-show and the main card.
Yeah.
Next up, we had the matchup that, in my opinion, exceeded expectations the most. Timeless Toni Storm defends the AEW Women's World Championship against the former champion Thunder Rosa, who never lost her title. We get the big reveal because this feud has been all about the makeup. So we get Timeless Toni Storm with some heavy white makeup all over her face. But then we have Thunder Rosa, who comes out in a full mask. So when the bell rings and they're face to face, she reveals that she has no face paint in this matchup. And then they just full on had like the fucking Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn fucking start of just clubbering at each other and then start smacking each other, punching each other in the head. We get them fighting real quick, a quick start. We get Storm responds with a stiff kick to the ribs and a Beal, but Rosa comes back with a head scissors that sends Storm to the floor. The Rosa was really dominating this early portion of the matchup. She goes to the top rope early on and does a damn tornado onto Storm and Luther. We get Mariah May with a slight distraction, giving Storm enough time to come back, but Rosa fires back with some clubbing blows. She tries for a crossbody, but Storm's able to catch her and hit a backbreaker. I thought that Rosa did excellent selling the back throughout, and man, Toni Storm was just laying into the back. At one point, she straight up did the Jeffersons and started stomping all over the back of Rosa, and then drops her knees onto the back. She hit a backstabber out of the corner, a spinning corner DDT, and then a fisherman suplex. At that point, I was like, damn, Azumi really found Toni Storm's working boots in that collision match because she's still going. Rosa battle back. She gets a roll up into a double stomp for a 2 count. She misses a double foot stomp off the ropes, rolls through and runs into a Storm Baldy bomb because she works like the giant Bernard. It's crazy. Storm kept targeting the lower back of Rosa until Rosa was able to turn things around. They exchanged slaps for a little bit. Then each woman hits a snap German suplex. Mariah May at that point jumps on the apron. This causes Deonna Purrazzo to come down. She takes out Luther and then fights with Mariah May to the back. This is enough time for Thunder Rosa to be distracted as Timeless Toni Storm hits a release German suplex, the sweet cheat music, and the Storm Zero. But Rosa kicks out at 2 to a huge ovation from the crowd. Storm busts out the Texas Cloverleaf that she hasn't done since she became Timeless. But Rosa says, I'm taking her to hell, and gets to the ropes. Rosa sidesteps Storm. She hits a backstabber of her own and then applies a Cobra Clutch crossface. But this time Storm is able to grab the apron curtain and bring it into the ring. This causes enough of a distraction for the referee as Toni Storm hits a low blow right to the vajayjay and then a second Storm Zero to pick up the victory in this one. I thought this was a great match and probably the best AEW Women's World Championship matchup on pay-per-view since Chris Statlander versus Dr. Britt Baker at All Out 2021. These two women had a hard-hitting matchup. It was physically intense the entire way, and Timeless Toni Storm has given her best title defense of this reign with this matchup here. And Thunder Rosa reminded everyone that she is still one of the baddest chicks in wrestling because she made Toni put on her working boots in this matchup. Definitely enjoyed it. It went over 15 minutes, so I got plenty of time to deliver. I gave this one 4 stars. What did you think, Kaden?
Gave it 4 stars as well. Shout out to Zumi, who went into the closet. Maybe she had to bring them back from Stardom. Like they were stuck in Japan. She
they were in
took
Japan.
them all the way. She took them. She dropped them. She gave them to Toni Storm, and we finally have Toni Storm working good matches. Thank God. Oh, my voice is fucked. 1 second.
Your voice realized you were at a show last night and was like, "Oh, let me run away real quick."
Yeah, I thought this match was very solid. I was very worried because it is Toni Storm on a pay-per-view as Timeless. It's also Thunder Rosa, who I've not liked any of her matches coming back. They've been fine, but I haven't liked or loved any of them. They've just been there for me. And that these two women showed up. They had a point to prove at this pay-per-view, and they worked their asses off, and they were given the time to do it. And it just shows, like, when you agent correctly, when you put everything together right, you give everybody the time they need, you put them in a good spot on the show. Putting them after Jericho and a Hook was fantastic. Very good card placement.
It's got the crowd right back into the show.
Yes. And I consistently complain about where they put Toni Storm's matches because of the style she works as Timeless, and very good job. Everything worked very well here. Really good match, good finish, good win. Would have liked to have seen something like maybe a Brit, if Brit's good to go, a Brit return. I didn't think we were getting Jamie, and a lot of people thought we were getting Jamie. I was like, no chance. I think she's still a little ways off, unfortunately. But I was like, a Brit return would have been nice, something to just add something to the end of the match, just so it wasn't another Toni wins and does her thing and leaves. But it was good. This was a very good match.
I enjoyed the hell out of this one. Timeless Toni Storm, man. Don't forget those boots. Anytime you wrestle now, I need you to wear those boots because you've been bringing it. And yes, Big Man Dogs, the Toni promo on Collision, I literally messaged, and you know how me and Jimmy Macaram been talking, and Jimmy Macaram said, "Oh, Toni Storm peaked." I was like, nah, this might actually be the peak because that was the best promo she's done as Timeless.
I have not seen this promo yet because I was on a plane during Collision. I have heard amazing things, so I plan to go watch that tonight or tomorrow, some point this week before Dynamite.
It literally has 3 of my favorite Toni Storm lines. She says, "You can't drag me to hell. You should check the address because hell is located in my bedroom because I sleep with my demons every bloody night." She is just so great. And she says that I shine wherever I go. You shine out of the glow coming out of my arse. So good. It is so good.
What'd you feel about the presser? with her, like her little speech.
Oh, I enjoyed it. That's why I was very much confused on why people were taking it so seriously the following
It was
day.
fun.
I was like, why? So people are upset about that? Like, I was like, I don't think Cody's upset about it.
No.
Like,
It
I doubt he is.
We were like, I think everyone in the press room was just trying to like hold in their laughter between the Nicole Garcia line with the pussy scented candle and then that
I was like, holy shit. I'm like, it's like 12:30 in the morning. I literally got my missus yelling at me because I was so loud when she said that. I was like, holy shit, she did not just say that.
Between that and then saying like, if I ever finish my story, I'm never gonna bring you up. And I was just like, oh my god.
I was like, thank you. No, I was clapping for her because that was just, I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it. That was not needed at WrestleMania. I did not need to see Bruce Pritchard. I did not. I don't care. I don't care if Cody Rhodes really wanted to celebrate that moment with Bruce Pritchard. I did not need it.
Yeah, they're gonna have to edit that in like a year. I don't think that's gonna edit. That's not gonna age well.
I don't think it's gonna age well either. I don't think so either. We got in the chat, Twan Mac is a little different of opinion. He says this match was okay. I give Rosa most of the credit for doing most of the heavy lifting. Tony just returned to her old form, which has always been mid. We had 2016 Tony wrestling, which was always average. Wow. I mean,
Okay.
I disagree, but
Yeah.
you're entitled to your opinion. We also got Big Man Dog says she cucked Thunder Rosa with the devil. Yes. We got Alex Smalley says Will Ospreay needs to call Tony Khan in the ring after winning the belt in Wembley. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, that also, Big Man Dog, I didn't interpret it as her making fun of Cody, to be honest. And even I saw it because people have mostly been complaining about it, grouping her with the tweet that Brian Cage put out when he said, "Oh, I don't care if you finish the story." I don't understand why you needed to even put that, because you know you were going to get some negative feedback from that. So that's on Brian Cage, but that wasn't even that serious for y'all to be complaining the way y'all complaining and then acting like y'all not doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I put out the tweet today. Like, the funniest thing about the tribalism between AEW and WWE is when these companies, these owners, these staff members, these wrestlers take shots at one another, the other fan base acts like they are the biggest victim ever. Or, oh, it's funny to me, Cody, this place wouldn't even exist without Cody. And then in the AEW side, oh man, they talking about us during WrestleMania week? Y'all talking about them during Dynasty. So, like, both sides are just fucking ridiculous. Just take your shots at one another. Just talk your shit about one another. But neither one of y'all are fucking victims.
Yep.
Just had to get that rant out. I'm sorry.
I agree with everything you said.
We also got in the chat here, Alex Powell says Ospreay should dance with Swerve after losing the belt after having a rubber chicken thrown at him. Oh man, Alex Powell out here with the jokes today. Jesus, man, you bringing the heat in the chat. I appreciate y'all. Keep coming with those comments in the comment section. Always appreciate it. So keep coming, and with the super chats as well. And yeah, Frantic World, that's where we're at. I love the competition. I just don't like the fans of either place.
No.
I don't like them. No. I like the competition between WWE and AEW because AEW existing made WWE get better. So I'm all for that. I'm all for great wrestling in both products. I'm a fan of both. I'm not for y'all fans. Y'all fans are the ones that ruin it.
I had when Vince stepped down in 2022, the first step down, I had somebody like tell me, who's like a WWE tribalist guy who's in his 40s and has children. And I'm like, okay, come on, let's grow up a little bit here. You're antagonizing a 19-year-old. But he had told me, like, he was like, oh, you AEW fans, you better be worried because Vince didn't care, but Hunter does, and he's gonna come after you and ruin it. And I'm like, good. I don't know. I'd rather him try to be competitive than just be apathetic and not care. I'd rather have, like, the shots are funny. I find it hilarious. I'm like, it's entertaining. And I have a different perspective because me and you, we work in wrestling media, so it gives us content. And I always bring that up. I'm like, yeah, it's giving me content, so it's a different situation than if you're just a normal fan. But I don't understand how just anybody who sits at home, watches the shows, has no financial or emotional investment in the companies, which you should not. If you are not working for the companies or have a close friend, a partner, a family member working for the companies, you should have no investment, like legitimate investment in the companies, other than I like the company as like a product. It makes no sense to me. It never will. I don't get it.
It's not normal people thinking.
No, it's
But
not.
well, it is time we got that out the ways, because it is time to talk about Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. The energy in that building totally changed once the graphic was up, and you could just feel the anticipation. Big pop for Bryan Danielson, big pop for Will Ospreay. You get Justin Roberts announces this as an absolute dream match, and no one's gonna argue that. We get holy shit AEW and both these guys chants ringing out early on. Each man tried to use their strength early. We get Danielson trying to get to the ground game and use his Mac expertise, while Ospreay used his speed and precision strikes to try to get to Danielson, but neither man were able to kind of execute it. Both men had each other scouted very well, which led to multiple stalemates. We get an insane series of counters of kicks from one another, which led to another stalemate and a fight forever chant. Ospreay picked the leg, and Danielson easily got out of it, flipping off Ospreay, which really turned things up, and we started getting some hard-hitting strikes, like some hard chops from Ospreay to Danielson. Danielson responded with some hard chops of his own. We get Don Callis is on commentary, and he did another great job on commentary in this one. Early on, the fans are chanting fuck Don Callis. Danielson applied a rolling cavat, but Ospreay was able to flip out of it into a snap drop kick. Double head scissors from Ospreay put him in control until Danielson woke up via a chop. But Ospreay answered with a pop-up stun gun and a slingshot cross body to the floor. Callis was upset Ospreay was playing to the crowd too much in his eyes. Back inside, Danielson caught a spinning Ospreay with a kick to the ribs, which really changed things around, gave Danielson control. Ospreay tried to battle back with some chops, but Danielson was able to light him up in the ribs until doing a corner backflip, only to be met with Ospreay's corkscrew kick for the double down. We get a pip cheerio from Ospreay, and Kawada kicks were stopped by Danielson, who threw some more lethal uppercuts until Ospreay exploded with a wall walk enziguri, sending Danielson to the floor. Ospreay hit a picture perfect sky twister off the top rope to the floor, a top rope elbow strike to the back of the head connected. Ospreay wanted the hidden blade, but Danielson was able to kick out of it and avoid it. He hits a tiger suplex for a 2 count. We get the hammer and anvil elbows pouring down on Ospreay, and he busts out cattle mutilation pretty early on. Ospreay is able to use his length and get his feet on the ropes. Danielson hits some corner drop kicks. He tries for a corner Hurricane Rana. He's laying in the smack on his head in the process, which no one seemed to notice, but Ospreay landed on his feet. Ospreay landed on his feet from the Hurricane Rana, so then he comes back at Danielson. Danielson catches him, puts him on the top rope, and hits a tiger suplex off the top rope, which looked gnarly. Ospreay got his feet on the ropes for the 2 count. Danielson fires off some yes kicks until a PK woke Ospreay up as he's saying no, that's not going to work for me, bruv. Ospreay leveled Danielson in the face with a forearm, and Danielson crumbled to the mat. They go to the apron where Ospreay's wanting a tiger driver, but thankfully Danielson's able to escape, only to hit a hook kick and then the Os cutter on the edge of the ring frame. While Danielson was being checked on by referee Bryce Rensburg, Ospreay flies off the apron with a hidden blade to the back of the head. Ospreay opted to not pick Danielson up as he went back inside, but Danielson was able to break the 10 count at 8. Ospreay meets him with a springboard drop kick. He then hits a high stack power bomb, but Danielson's able to kick out. Ospreay tries for another Os cutter. This time, Danielson's able to reverse that into a label lock. He transitions into a guillotine. Ospreay tries to counter that, but Danielson's able to hit a beautiful La Mystica into the label lock. Danielson wrenches on the arm as Ospreay's trying to get to the ropes. He gets the double armbar on, but Ospreay's able to get his foot on the ropes. We get yes kicks into the buzzsaw kick. Ospreay intercepts the Psycho knee. He tries for a power bomb, but Danielson's able to reverse that into a snap Hurricane Rana pin. Both men trade pin attempts. Ospreay flips out, misses a hidden blade. So Danielson catches him in midair with the Psycho kick, with the Psycho knee for the closest of 2 counts. At this point, the crowd is going absolutely ballistics. Danielson yells out that he's gonna kick his fucking head in. We get the kicks to the head. He tries to lock on the label lock, but Ospreay scrappy and trying not to have it locked on. So Danielson transitioned to a triangle choke, but Ospreay starts laying in some punches. Danielson locks back on the triangle choke. He gets the elbows to the head. He starts posing and flexes, so that gives Ospreay enough time to power out of it into a Styles Clash. Both men are exhausted at this point. They trade headbutts and punches. We get Danielson with a regal plex that Ospreay basically rolls through out of no cells, hits a ridiculous looking hidden blade. Ospreay at this point tallies up. He's going for the Os cutter, and Danielson catches him in midair with the Psycho knee. This is unreal. I was like, okay, they just hit God tier. This is God tier at this point. Danielson gets into the corner. He's gearing up for another Psycho knee. He's getting the yes chance, but he notices Ospreay just got into the other corner. He takes off his elbow pad. They literally redid the poster for this matchup. The poster for this matchup has Bryan going for the Psycho knee and Ospreay going for the hidden blade at the same time going into each other, and they did the spot in the match. That was fucking amazing. Ospreay hits the hidden blade, but he knows that's not going to be enough. So he picks up Danielson. He drops him with the Storm Driver 93. Danielson thankfully lands on his back, but literally he totally crushed Danielson where he folds him inside out. That's how Danielson looked when he landed. Danielson sells this like death that he landed on his neck. He's doing the twitching selling effect, but Ospreay does not even notice it as the referee is calling for the doctor to come into the ring. He hits the hidden blade, a third one, 1, 2, 3. Oh my God. Was that one of the greatest professional wrestling matches of all time? That was just unreal pacing. The storytelling was absolutely incredible, and how it just kept escalating in drama, intensity, fighting spirit, emotion, the entire stretch of the way. Will Ospreay picks up the win in 32 minutes, 40 seconds. The post-match just added the cherry on top of all of this as Bryan sold it like he was completely done. He's selling the neck. He's selling the head. He's doing the trembling selling effect. We have doctors and officials in the ring. And once Ospreay is done celebrating and realize what he's done, he is basically strucken with guilt. And he is concerned off of what happened to Bryan Danielson. So they superbly have transitioned one of the greatest professional wrestling matches, a bona fide dream match that lived up to the expectations and exceeded them somehow. But they also set up a rematch in the process. I've only done this a couple of times. Bret Hart versus Steve Austin, WrestleMania 13. Okada versus Omega 4, Dominion 2018. Wrestle Kingdom last year, Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega. This is a fucking 6-star matchup if I've ever seen one. Kaden, any thoughts?
This was special. I've been saying for a while, I don't, when people ask me who my favorite wrestler is, I don't have one answer. I have two, because it genuinely switches based off of who had the better match that week between Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay. I love these two wrestlers so much for different reasons. Like, the styles are different, but I love them so much. And this has been my dream match for years. The one match I've wanted to see more than anything else. And so when this was announced for St. Louis, I had to try to make it there, and to be there as media was another just cherry on top that added to how amazing this match was. It was incredible. The atmosphere, you could feel it building. I wasn't there for Kenny and Danielson at Grand Slam, but that's like the closest thing I can think of in wrestling to like how that felt. Or people who were in the Tokyo Dome for Kenny and Ospreay at 17. Incredible. These two men just, oh my God, exceeded expectations. I expected a very good match out of these two. I expected an incredible match, a match of the year candidate. But the fact that they put on one of the best wrestling matches of all time it's just insane. And when we started the review and as we're building up, and even earlier today, I had been thinking, I was like, I like the match. I really love it. But I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's my match of the year, because there's so much that happens when you're at a show, and when you have to go to the scrum, there's all these different things that happen. So you kind of forget things that happen in certain matches. And as you were going through everything, I remembered some of the spots. I forgot about the Styles Clash spot. And once I was reminded of that, I'm like, oh yeah, now I remember how I felt during this match. Like I felt like it just this giddy sense of happiness where I'm like, oh, it's happening. It was incredible. The Busaiku knee spot off of the springboard, that might be like one of my favorite spots of all time. The hidden
It's the whole sequence though, because it's Regalplex, no cell, hidden blade, Os cutter, reverse into the Busaiku knee.
Yes.
That's one of the best sequences I think I've ever seen in that.
It's incredible. The hidden blade to the outside had me gasping. The storm driver, whenever Will does the storm driver, because it is a scary it genuinely is a scary move if you don't hit it right. And we saw that with Kenny at Forbidden Door 2. I watched to see how Danielson took it because of his history with the neck. And so I made sure, because I had a feeling he was going to do the seizure spot after taking that, because I just know how this guy works. And I saw how he landed, and then they did the seizure spot. So I was like, okay, I know how medical should handle these situations if there's a legitimate neck injury. Same way with Aminata and Billy. So there's some fans who are not super happy about the spot. They thought I actually know people who straight up said it ruined the match for them because they just can't. They don't like it, and I understand. Just for me, I know I was like, okay, I know when it's fake and when it's real. So that definitely helped me immediately know, okay, I don't have to worry about Danielson. I know he's okay. I know how they handle neck injuries, so we're good. I can enjoy how they're finishing the match. And that storytelling was fantastic. And Will brought that into the press conference where he's like, oh man, the wrestling overtook me. And they're going to build on that for the next few months. I feel like that's like the story they're about to start telling. Everything was like the storytelling was incredible too. Like, adding a story into the finish specifically is, and with these types of matches, I find it to be rare, where like you built it, where like the finish of a big match, a big move match, had a finish that had a specific story instead of just doing the kickouts at 2.999. Everything was perfect here. Like it's perfect. I can't add much more than just being like, this was amazing. It's the best match I've ever seen in person, easily.
I don't blame you. And I literally said that after Revolution, that Takeshita and Ospreay was one of the best matches I ever seen live. We got Big Man Dawes with a little difference of opinion. He says, I thought this match was great and a match of the year candidate, but I'm a bit confused when people say this is the best match ever. Both Bryan and Ospreay have had better matches, in my opinion. If you're both saying you think the match is great and a match of the year candidate, and you're a bit confused when people say it's the best match ever, that's contradict. You contradicted yourself in the same comment, because if it's great and a match of the year candidate, you should not be confused of why people think it's the best match ever. Just because you think some matches are better, you cannot avoid the fact that some people may think this is better than whatever matches you think is better. And I'll be honest, I watch, and everybody knows this, I watch a lot more wrestling than you and a lot of the people that's watching this.
Yeah.
I would say out of Ospreay and Bryan's whole careers, Wrestle Kingdom 17, and that's about it. It's the only thing better than this.
I was gonna say the exact same thing. I think, and there's a lot of Danielson I've not watched from his early Ring of Honor days, but
I have the Kenta
seen
match.
it.
The Kenta match
you.
is a 5-star. The unified matchup with Nigel McGuinness. He had another one with Nigel at Driven in 2007. His other match with Nigel in his title reign at Rising Above 2008. These are all fantastic matches. But like, I've never went 6 stars with Bryan. Bryan is my favorite wrestler of all time, bar none.
Yep.
That's always been my answer. It's been my answer for the better part of 20 years. This is the best match he's ever been in.
This is my favorite Bryan match. I think this is his best match. Ospreay,
as far as in-ring work and even the storytelling, honestly, I don't think he's ever had a match that had this depth of story to it.
Yeah. Ospreay is different. I think, and this could change because I have to do a rewatch of this. And I want to rewatch Omega.
The Morishima match, that in 2007, Alex, that was the best match I ever seen live. I was there for the Morishima Bryan match where Morishima nearly punched Bryan's eye out of his fucking socket. He got a broken orbital bone in that matchup. I was like in the 3rd row. Bryan has been a part of many matches where I said, that's the best match I ever seen live. But at home, I wasn't even live for this. I was like, this is one of the best matches I ever seen. It's top 10 all time.
It's so good. Yeah, I think I got to rewatch both of the matches. I might have Omega Ospreay one a tiny bit ahead. But they're right there. And honestly, it's one of those situations where those 2 matches could flip-flop depending on the day. Like, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm feeling right now. That's the match I prefer. This is I don't throw around perfect in wrestling matches a lot. I genuinely think this is the perfect match because of I love the finish. I understand why people don't like it. I think that the story they told with that finish, I prefer that than just doing a bunch of 2.99 kickouts. I think it was just so much better. So good.
Because they built the whole matchup around that. Like that was it was only like 2 promos that they really like set it, but that was like really the crux of the whole rivalry early on, where Ospreay brought up that Bryan criticized him for the Storm Driver, and literally I was on this channel after that episode of Dynamite, and I was like, the match is going to build to the Storm Driver. I was like, he has to hit the Storm Driver on Bryan, and everyone will be horrified. And I knew that Bryan was going to sell it like this. So it just made everything come together perfectly. Yeah. Big Man Dawes, he says, actually, you might be right that this might be Bryan's best match, but I have seen better Ospreay matches. I'll be honest with you. The only better Ospreay match is Wrestle Kingdom 17.
Yeah.
And I would probably say that this is on the same level of his G1 final against Okada and his Best of Super Junior final against Shingo. But only 3 matches from a guy who has 5-star matches like on a monthly basis. I mean, this, in my eyes, this is and Revolution 2020 with Young Bucks and Hangman and Omega as the 2 greatest AEW matches. This has leapfrogged Omega Ospreay 2 for my best AEW singles match I ever seen.
My favorite AEW match, I love that tag match at Revolution. My favorite has been Cody versus Dustin for the emotion of it. And that's not even my favorite style of wrestling. For some reason, that match just sits with me so well. I thought it was impossible to overtake that match. This might be it. It's a special match. It's very good.
Because I do like criteria with my star rating. And this is like a 5, a 10, whatever grading you want to do for each criteria. It's like checks the highest. It's like in-ring work, 5 out of 5. It's like crowd, 10 out of 5. Like that crowd was ridiculous from the opening bell Then the pacing of the matchup, 5 out of 5.
Mhm.
The finish of the matchup, 5 out of 5. The storytelling of the matchup, 5 out of 5. Like, when you exceed some categories of my criteria for the star rating, that's when I just say, okay, this is 5+. I don't want to think about giving it an extra star. It's just in the 5+ section. This one was immediately, I was like, damn, this is challenging what I thought is the epicenter. So I don't know if I'll fall back down from the 6 stars, because I have before. I was about to give Bryan and ZSJ at Wrestle Dream last year. I was close to giving that 6 stars. I was close to giving Omega Ospreay 2 6 stars, but I went 5+ with both of those. I don't know if I'll come down from this. I've only watched it once. I will watch it again before I put out my star ratings, but warning to Jimmy Macaram, this might break the scale. I'm just letting everybody know in advance.
Yeah. I have a scale that's just different than yours. I think because I just don't care. I think I'm gonna go 7. I think I'm going 7 on this, honestly. I just don't look. It's my own personal thing. I don't even tweet about my star ratings half the time. I just like text my friend and be like, my friend's casual, so I text him and be like, I gave this however many stars. I texted him. I said 7 stars. I'm like, fuck. I don't care.
But
No.
he's like, fuck it, all the stars.
Fuck it.
I
don't care. Doesn't matter to me.
Hey, yeah. If you're only sending it to a friend, it's like, fuck it. But yes, let's go on to the semi-main event of the card, the AEW World Tag Team Title Tournament Finals ladder match. The Young Bucks versus FTR. This one had a hell of an obstacle following the previous matchup. Early on, we get both teams dodging each other's finishers. We get Hardwood. He eats a ladder shot. He also goes headfirst into the steel steps, which causes him to be busted open very early on in this matchup. Matthew and Nicholas were both sent into ladders early on. Wheeler set up multiple tables around ringside before Hardwood did a drop toe hold, holding the ladder into the steps. We get a ladder bridge set up where Cash hits a big moonsault off the ladder bridge after the Young Bucks hit the EVP trigger on Hardwood after he was crotched on the ladder. We get back in the ring. FTR hits a big Steiner Bulldog, and then Hardwood locks on the sharpshooter with Matthew underneath the ladder while Wheeler climbs up the ladder. Wheeler climbs up the other side of the ladder. Meanwhile, Nicholas comes in and he breaks that up. Wheeler charges full speed, spearing Matt Jackson into a damn table. Meanwhile, we get Nicholas Jackson with a Hurricane Rana on Dax Hardwood off of apron through another table. Hardwood hit his knee against a chair very hard. Some of these spots were just ridiculous and just kept getting the crowd more and more into it until they just went balls to the wall with some crazy spot after spot. We get a shatter machine off of ladder. Nicholas returns with a chair. He got in a few shots before taking too long to climb a ladder, resulting in FTR breaking things up. We get a powerplex off 2 separate ladders in a great spot in the matchup. Both teams fight to the floor where Nicholas had another table set up. Meanwhile, Dax Hardwood was fighting with Matthew Jackson on a ladder bridge. Nicholas hits a crazy looking 450 splash on Wheeler through the table. Meanwhile, Hardwood hits a power driver on Matthew on the ladder bridge as it slips underneath them. That could have ended horribly. Hardwood sets up a ladder in the ring, but Nicholas does a springboard off the ropes onto the ladder into a sunset flip powerbomb off the ladder. This shit was crazy. Nicholas climbs up, but Wheeler breaks it up, sends Nicholas outside. He tries for a dive, a tope suicida. He goes super fast and crashes and burns through the ladder. As Hardwood and Nicholas are climbing up the ladder, we get "Please be careful" chants. Hardwood knocks the title into Nicholas' head. He is all alone at the top of the ladder when a mysterious figure in a Sting mask hops over the barricade and pushes Hardwood off of the ladder. Security pushes him into the corner. They take the Sting mask off to reveal the scapegoat, Jack Perry, with one of the all-time best wrestling shit-eating grin faces of all time. And the crowd reaction, this crowd went ballistic. And it is the finish that I called before the fucking footage was shown. I said Jack Perry returned as the Elite's new hangman, but the Elite have a new scapegoat. As the security is bringing Jack Perry out of the ring, Nicholas Jackson climbs up the ladder. He retrieves the titles for the Young Bucks to become the first ever 3-time AEW World Tag Team Champions. Nicholas Jackson does the Elite 3 sign, while Jack Perry in the crowd, being ushered away by security, does the same Elite 3 sign as the Young Bucks are the new champions. Excalibur on commentary says that what Jack Perry did was trespassing and a criminal offense. So we will see how they follow up on that on Dynamite. They had a lot to do to get the crowd into this, but boy, oh boy, did they go balls to the wall in this damn matchup. Like, my initial rating for this matchup was 4.5, but with the Jack Perry return and just how much they put their bodies on the line in this one, I gotta go 4 3/4. What did you think about the ladder match?
This is a definite rewatch that I just need to watch it again after the Danielson Ospreay match. I was still like coming down a little bit and trying to gather my bearings, but they fucking did everything in this. I was not expecting that between these two. I will say, I honestly was not that excited when this was just a normal tag match, because I've seen it.
Me too.
3 other times. I've seen one of them. I saw that first one in person in Daly's place, and I was like, okay, I don't need it. And then they announced the ladder match, and I was like, okay, I'm here for this to see what they do, because that just doesn't really seem like FTR's like forte, but it is the Bucks. So I thought they really, like, this is maybe like their best match that they've had. It's definitely top 2. This was awesome. And then the Jack Perry debut, which I had called as well as you did. I don't think I called it as early as you did, but I think I called it right the week of, I think as soon as the footage aired was when I was like, oh, okay, I see exactly what they're doing here. It was very well done. Jack got a pop. I don't know if that's necessarily the reaction you want for Jack Perry. I think you might want boos, but
no,
got reaction.
They just want a reaction for Jack.
Yes,
because he wasn't, when he first turned heel, he wasn't getting reactions like this,
or as a face.
Yeah, like this was a superstar reaction, a superstar returning reaction.
Yes, this was by far his biggest reaction he's gotten in AEW. Even when he had the Tarzan boy theme, like this was a pop for Jack Perry, not a pop for the song. Yeah, incredible that he, like, I got to be ringside for the match last week in Chicago. That man, he's found it. Like, he went to Japan and he got what he needed. He came back, and I think I said this on Coexisting with Rob and Maggie. You can tell when a wrestler doesn't believe themselves and who they are and who their character is. And Jack was like that when he first turned heel. Yeah. He believes himself now, and it just goes so far.
Yeah, it definitely does. Like, I was like, I've been saying ever since Windy City Riot, I was like, the best thing that happened to his career was saying it's real glass, cry me a river.
Yep.
That might be the best decision he ever did, because he was lacking charisma as a heel when he first turned heel, and now he just has a bunch of it, it seems.
Yeah.
We got Big Man Dogs. He says, yeah, I gotta be honest, I kind of skipped this match. It wasn't even because of the bugs. Ospreay and Bryan just finished me.
I get it.
It's like, I can't come anymore. What are you doing? I'm drained. I can't keep fucking. What are you doing? That's what Big Man Dogs was screaming at the TV. Like, I heard you from here in New York. Like, damn. We got Jack Perry finally got a reaction. We got Alex Powell who says Jack Perry excursion proves more talent. Could use that. Like Sammy especially. I wouldn't even send Sammy to New Japan. I don't think that would work for him. I would send Sammy to CMLL.
Yeah. Someone said someone was wondering if the Hook loss to Jericho could mean that they could send him on excursion. Yes, do it.
I'd be down for that. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I said, I understand y'all are over Jericho, but working with Jericho is getting hooked better. Like that's what I
Yeah,
could tell in that
inherently.
matchup
Yeah.
with Jericho. I was like, he's getting better. So it's like begrudgingly, I have to admit that working with Jericho is getting him better overall.
Yeah.
All
Unfortunately.
right. Said unfortunately. All right, we finally we do have a super chat donation here from our good brother Chuck Berries once again. Will Chisholm, you're being outclassed by Chuck Berries. Thank you, Chuck Berries. He says, I thought that Will's response to your question was proper and politically correct. He clapped back earlier at Triple H, and that was that. Yeah, I think Will handled your question very well. He handled the overall media scrum very well because he had to kind of play up the storyline from the
Mhm.
matchup, and I think he did that very well. And then he had to transition to answering all the questions.
Yeah, I made sure to phrase the question like as properly as I could because I didn't want to focus on I didn't want to hear him just like shit talk Triple H for 5 minutes. Like that's just not entertaining to me. I don't think anybody cares about that. I wanted to hear his react like I wanted to hear what he like what his grind is and if he thinks he's done enough to stop the bullshit that's been going on for a few weeks. And yeah, I thought he answered it wonderfully. The the beginning thing was like, oh, I gotta fucking talk about this. But then he gave a really insightful answer that I really appreciated from him. And yeah, he's very good. He's very good at it with all that.
I agree with you there. Thank you so much for the super chat donation, Chuck Berries. But finally, we've made it to the main event of AEW Dynasty. Swerve Strickland challenges Samoa Joe for the AEW World Championship. We get Swerve with a special ring entrance as he comes out in a Killmonger aesthetic with the
Mhm.
mask and the full bodysuit. He's even got the goddamn claws out here. And then we get Prince Nana coming down and pray and giving the crown jewel of the embassy, Jimmy Rave jacket on Swerve. Swerve comes down to the ring to a huge ovation from the crowd. The crowd was fully behind, and it was questionable because this was in hour 4 of this 4-hour show. This is past the 4-hour mark that this match, the bell rings for this match pretty much, and they were still into things with Swerve, them fully behind Swerve in this one. And what we got was Swerve and Samoa Joe delivering a damn good main event championship matchup. Samoa Joe was straight up 1993 Big Van Vader in this fucking matchup. He's doing the clubbering blows. He's doing the overwhelming. I mean, early on in this matchup, he does a knee to the stomach that completely took the wind out of Swerve and the crowd. It was ridiculous. Early on, he tries for the walkaway spot, but Swerve lands on his feet. He actually countered the walkaway, which was great. We get Swerve with a big 450 splash where Joe lands onto the championship belt. We get the mat being exposed on the floor. Joe goes for a muscle buster out there, but yeah, Strickland's able to get out of it. So Joe hits a snap power slam on the concrete. We got German suplexes. We're getting big moves back and forth. Swerve was targeting the arm throughout this contest, but he locked on a triangle choke at one point. Joe was able to break out of it by power bombing him into the corner. He puts him on the top rope and hits a muscle buster in the ring. He only gets a very close 2 count, which shocks a lot of the people there, including Samoa Joe. At that point, Joe got the AEW World Championship and went to use it. Swerve got it from him and went to use it himself, but Joe was able to lock on the rear naked choke. That's when we got a house call and then the 450 to the title that I mentioned earlier, but Joe was able to kick out of that one. We get a Swerve stomp, and Joe's able to kick out of that as well. Joe desperately rakes the eyes. He grabs the AEW World Championship again. Nana tries to get the referee's attention, but it's enough for Strickland to dodge the championship belt. But Joe sink in another Coquina clutch. Strickland wrenched out his arm. You hear Nana telling him to break the damn arm. He breaks at the arm, then delivers another house call, but Joe once again kicks out. Strickland took too long to follow up this time, so Joe's able to cut him off. Strickland almost went for an avalanche swerve stomp off the top rope, but he overshoots his target and jumps over Joe's damn head. He then follows up very quickly and hits a power bomb off the middle rope. He then goes to the top rope. We get a great shot of the whole crowd standing up to their feet as Swerve poses, gets his momentum, gets his footing, and then finally comes down with a second Swerve stomp. 1, 2, 3. Finally, Swerve Strickland is your new AEW World Champion. Streamers pour down onto Swerve as he celebrates with Nana. He goes to ringside. He jumps in the crowd. He's celebrating with the fans. The new champion. The crowd is going crazy. Strickland is legitimately blubbering. He is crying. He is so emotional as he sits on the ring steps, holding his title high once more to close the show. An emotional moment as Swerve has finally won the big one, and he closes out AEW Dynasty with the new dynasty of AEW. World champion Swerve Strickland. I gave the matchup. I thought this was a damn good to great matchup. With these two guys really working well with one another. Joe just being the monster heel for Swerve to overcome. Swerve not going to like his cheating ways, using his skill to overcome Swerve in the end. Overcome Joe in the end. I thought it was a great story. Overall, I give the matchup 4 stars. What did you think about the match and the moment with Swerve getting the win?
I thought the match was laid out beautifully for what you needed to do here. You were not going to get the 4 3/4 5-star banger that you got earlier in the show, which was not going to happen between these two guys. So they worked a main event style match, and it was very good. I really enjoyed what they did here. The timing was perfect. Agent did well. The story was well done. Everything just kind of flowed very, very well here, and made for a really good main event match. Swerve getting the victory was awesome. Finally getting to see him win the championship. I agreed, actually. Like, I know some people wanted him to win at Revolution. I preferred that he did it here because Sting's retirement would have overshadowed that win. So I thought they made a very good decision of doing that here. And I was a little worried about Danielson and Ospreay overshadowing this because of how good that match was. And same with the ladder match. I was a little worried about those 3 being the 3 matches to end, but it ended up working pretty well.
I've said it on Twitter. It's probably the greatest final 4 match set, because I include Rosa and Storm into that. It's probably the greatest 4 match stretch that they've ever had on a paper.
Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, I thought everything just went really well here, and so I got some really cool shots of with the confetti coming down, that purple confetti of Swerve winning. Awesome to see. Just a guy who worked his ass off for 2 years. He came in at Revolution 2022, and he got himself over, one of the most over people in the company, and now he's been given the reins, and he's the top guy. And in the presser, one of the things I noticed, and I put on Twitter, you could see looking into his eyes how much this meant to him and how emotional he was over it. And it's little things like that where a fan can't tell that watching on their TV screen. You can get an idea of what their eyes look like, but in person, that's like the biggest thing that you can really tell how someone feels. And you could just, the weight of winning, becoming the first Black World Champion for AEW, how much that means to him. It's awesome. Really great main event here. Great way to end the show. An incredible show overall.
Yeah, it's probably the best kind of rise to the championship that they've done since Hangman Adam Page. With quest to the title.
I prefer the payoff of this to the Hangman's. I thought that they capitalized quicker. And that was the thing the issue I had with Hangman was I didn't like how they, I love the story. I was like, okay, COVID fucked it over, but it was a little elongated. There were things where they just dropped it for a few weeks. Too much of it was on BTE instead of on TV. Swerve's story was completely on TV, on pay-per-views. Everything was out there for you. You did not have to go to YouTube for it, and they capitalized at the right time with the right match, and everything just set up perfectly for that. And I love Hangman's crowning moment. I think this is the best championship win in the history of AEW, in my opinion.
I would probably put it at second. It's right up there with Jon Moxley's first championship win, which I think is probably the most underrated. But yeah, definitely a great moment and definitely well deserved, because Swerve he took every single opportunity and he made the most of it, whether it was Swerve in Our Glory, whether it was a feud with the Acclaim. I like him mentioning how kind of his first big moment of stealing the show at All Out 2022 was stolen from him and overshadowed by some people, and you can tell that still kind of bothers him the way he said it. So I bugs with Swerve laying it all out, that it was a little bit he could have said anything, and he was very emotional. So he could have said anything, whether it be anger, whether it be relief. But I thought it was a good post media scrum as well. And I'm very interested to see what the Swerve Strickland era of AEW with him as the world champion is looking like. Who do you think the first challenger will be at Double or Nothing?
I'm leaning towards doing the Hangman match in a steel cage. That's what I'm kind of leaning towards. It feels like that's what... If you're gonna do Ospreay, which I feel like they're still doing Ospreay at Wembley, this kind of, they could push it, but I'm still feeling that Forbidden Door, it's going to be a non AEW talent, or it should be somebody from New Japan to follow the tradition that they've done for the last 2 years. So then I think the Hangman Championship match with a fully heel Hangman and a fully face Swerve. They've never had a singles match with the full turns, because their last one, both of them were still tweeners. So you can do the
They did the double turn at the end of that match.
Yeah, that's when but working the full match as their new characters, that's what I would do at Double or Nothing.
That seems like that could be the plan. I can also see, honestly, Jack Perry. Just give him the main event. Give him the main event. Get him right to the top, right to the tippy top. And Jack Perry and Swerve, the main event of Double or Nothing. I would not even mind. But Hangman is a good shout. I think that if it is Hangman at Double or Nothing, they could save the Swerve Ospreay title match for next year's All In. Because honestly, I don't want Ospreay to win the AEW World Championship at this All In. I think if they do Swerve and Ospreay, Swerve should win to build to Ospreay winning the title next year at All In.
Yeah,
it's a corny formula, but I think it will work here. I think it will work because people will come to see Ospreay get his moment in Wembley. So if you tease it with this year and have him come up short, and that's his first loss in AEW, I think people will be even more invested there. But with the finish to Ospreay and Bryan, you could do Ospreay and Bryan 2 at Wembley and do Swerve versus MJF at All In.
Yeah, there's so many options, and we're still a ways out from Wembley, so I'm not really gonna anything about how I feel like what they should do. I can have feelings right now, and I know by the time July comes and we're through Forbidden Door, I'm gonna have a different feeling on it. So I'm waiting to see how I feel. I'm for either doing the thing where you have Swerve win and you build to Ospreay winning the next year. Although that is a long ass title reign for Swerve, and I just don't.
I'm not even saying that Swerve needs to be the champion.
Oh yeah, somebody else.
Yeah, it could be somebody else, but Ospreay wins it there.
Yeah, I would personally, if I was booking it right now, I just have Ospreay win this year because he's so over. And I think you just capitalize on it while you can. But I'm also an Ospreay mark, so I'm biased.
Hey, I love me some Will Ospreay too. That's why I want the better story. I'm not just going to give him the titles, because where the hell do you go after that? That's what was the problem with Cody's story. If they had him win at 39, they didn't know where the fuck they were going to go last year. But let us know in the live chat what you thought, overall thoughts on Dynasty. Give us your match of the night, MVP, LVP. Out of 10, what did you give the show? thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. And of course, final call for super chat donations. Thank you so much to everyone who's shown their support so far already. But for me and Kaden, let's put our thumbs in the middle for AEW Dynasty 2024. 3, 2, 1. Easy. Thumbs up across the board from all of us. Kaden, what did you give the show out of 10?
I'm going to give it a solid. See, I didn't watch the Jericho match, so I can give it a 9.5 out of 10 and feel good and just pretend it never happened. So I'm going to do that.
So I'm between like an 8.5 and a 9. I'm going to lean towards 9 because the show had one of the greatest matches I ever seen. And like I said, the Jericho match was not that bad. Could have been objectively worse. Match of the night, obviously, Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson for me.
Yeah, Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson is one of the best matches in the history of professional wrestling. So, match of the night, easily. Nothing's close.
The best AEW singles match, in my opinion. And my MVP for the show, I will give it to Swerve and Willow and Jack Perry. 3-way tie for MVP with Swerve, the new champion, Willow, the new TBS champion, and Jack Perry with an awesome return. Who you got for MVP?
I'm going to give it to Swerve, and then I'm throwing an Ospreay in there. He really cemented himself. And everybody knew he was going to be the guy in AEW, but giving him the win over Danielson in that good of a match, it really you're good. You're cemented. He's there.
I agree with you. That's why I wouldn't be too mad if he did win the championship this year. And then my LVP for the show, I wonder who it could be. I think there's a Judas in my mind that I can think. Oh, Chris Jericho is the LVP.
Yeah, if you're getting retired chance, that's where you're done as a wrestler. You gotta call it a quits at that point. Chris Jericho's the LVP.
Please retire. Please go home, Chance. Jesus Christ, I've seen a bigger sign that someone needs a break on AEW television ever. But that brings us to a close on our AEW Dynasty review. Thank you so much to everyone in the chat contributing. We got Big Man Dogs who says Jack Perry, he needs the world title ASAP for his MVP. Neil says, Nelly Neil, who says match of the night, Danielson versus Ospreay, and MVP Swerve. We also got Safet who says Swerve and Jack Perry for MVP, while Emmanuel says Swerve. Big Man Dogs gives it an 8.75 out of 10. Safet gives it the same score. We also got Big Man Dogs who says Trent and Matt Sydal are the co-LVPs for having a Rampage match. Okay, fair enough.
Their fault.
Fair enough. But thank you so much to Kaden who joined us at last minute. I definitely appreciate you. I would have had to review this whole show and wax lyrically about it on my own. So I appreciate you joining me and showing some love, some support. Let everybody know where they can follow you and see all your great work, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me on SP3. Always a fun time to talk about wrestling with you. You guys can find me on Twitter at Kaden, KADEN_FTW. You can find my writings over on WrestlePurists.com. I did a feature a few weeks ago on Sami Zayn called Sami Zayn, the Ultimate Underdog, before his match with Gunther at WrestleMania XL. So go check that out. You can also find all over Twitter the comments, the questions that I asked Will Ospreay about the Triple H's comments, and I also asked Tony Khan if Mercedes Moné was cleared for a singles match. So go to WrestlePurists Twitter. The quotes that they gave me are there.
There you go. Yes, indeed. Go over and support Kaden. He's doing great work, asking some great questions during the media scrum. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at TrueHillHeat. Patreon.com/TrueHillHeat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content. The True Hill Heat Prediction Championship will be back later this year. And of course, check out all the great content we got on the channel right now, like the True Hill Heat flagship podcast from this past Saturday. Myself, the True Draw Josh, and Miss Chrissy Love talking about everything from this week in professional wrestling. So go over and check that out right now. And go over and check out True Hill Heat Sports and Entertainment for our X-Men 97 review, as we reviewed episode 6 yesterday. But thank you so much to Kaden, and thank you so much to everyone who sent a super chat, who commented, who liked the video. Comment down below if you haven't already. You could do that if you're watching on demand. But I will see you all tomorrow for Rated Raw review, as we review Monday Night Raw for tonight. But for Kaden, it is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. This has been our AEW Dynasty 2024 review. We are signing off until next time. Later, y'all.